Now, other than immigration, there is another issue which has remained a concern for many of the Indian nationals as well as other nations as well. In fact, that is the Trump administration's stand on imposing stiff tariffs. But when it comes to India, well, it is important to point out how Prime Minister Modi has managed to navigate through the entire trade tariff concern. In fact, India and the United States have both agreed to begin negotiations on trade tariffs as both the nations look to increase the target to $500 billion by 2030. But when it comes to negotiations, there's no one better than Prime Minister Modi. This is not me saying it, viewers. It is, of course, US President Donald Trump, who himself said, well, of course, Modi is much better at negotiations than I am. Watch this.
India traditionally is the highest, just about the highest tariff country. They charge more tariffs than any other country. And I mean, we'll be talking about that. But again, whatever they charge us, we're charging them. So it works out very well. It's very...
Mr. President, you spoke about Prime Minister Modi as a tough negotiator. Who was a tougher negotiator today and who has a better negotiating tactic when it comes to tariffs?
Oh, he's a much tougher negotiator than me, and he's a much better negotiator than me. There's not even a contest. Okay?
Well, with that, let's also tell you what is the input that Madhav Das Gopalakrishnan, who of course has been out there in the snow at Washington, D.C., getting us minute-by-minute updates. Madhav, what was your assessment of how Prime Minister Modi used the bonhomie to ensure that India doesn't get the short edge when it comes to tariffs?
One of the areas where work certainly needs to be done between India and United States is the issue of trade and tariffs. President Trump was very clear to articulate that India is one country that charges very high tariffs, and therefore it becomes very difficult for companies from the US to compete in India. He has also proposed reciprocal tariffs, which he believes are fair, which really means that countries that impose high tariffs would see similar tariffs being imposed by the United States, and countries that impose low tariffs would see lower tariffs being imposed by the United States itself. But what is very clearly important is that both countries are now trying to resurrect the Indo-US trade deal, which was being worked upon in the first Trump regime. The target is that by fall this year, the negotiations would be completed and a trade deal would be in place. India appears to have bought itself some time as far as this particular aspect is concerned, but certainly a key and a critical area in which both the countries will clearly have to cooperate and work together to hash out a deal on the same.
Well, in fact, it's very interesting because there are those, even from the opposition ranks, who are now coming out and lauding the way that the trade tariff war terrain has been navigated through by the Prime Minister. There are many in the political fraternity who are big-time fans of Prime Minister Modi, but also there are those who are big-time critics of Prime Minister Modi who today have lauded the way India has managed to navigate. Watch this.
Well, so far I must say that what we've seen from the press statements by both the Prime Minister and by President Trump are very encouraging, because it looks like some of the big concerns we all had have been addressed. For example, on the question of trade and tariffs, they've decided to sit down together and do a serious negotiation that will conclude by the fall, which is the autumn, September, October of this year. I think that's a very good outcome, because otherwise the fear was there might be some hasty decisions made in Washington which would have affected our exports. This way there is time to discuss and negotiate. I welcome that. Secondly, on the illegal immigration issue, the only thing missing there from what Prime Minister Modi said was the question of the manner in which those people were treated and sent back. I think otherwise his stand was absolutely correct. These are misled youth who have been encouraged or induced to migrate illegally.
पारंपरिक व्यापार का समझौता अगर हुआ है भारत और अमेरिका के बीच में, तो ये तो अच्छी बात है भाई। दुनिया के अंदर में भारतवर्ष एशिया महाद्वीप का एक ऐसा देश है जो दुनिया के राजनीति को संचालित करता है। भारतवंशी अब वहाँ के संसद के सदस्य होते हैं, तो ऐसी स्थिति में भारतवर्ष की भूमिका तो महत्वपूर्ण है और उसको अगर स्वीकार किया है तो अच्छी बात है।
Well, the diplomacy, of course, was also sealed with gifts which showed more of intent and the resolution between the two nations to work together. So what were these gifts which were bestowed upon the Prime Minister when he went to US? Let's tell you first, when he met Donald Trump, the President gave him a coffee table book to the Prime Minister, and this is the book that you can see on your screens. This is the book that he presented to the Prime Minister. It is titled Our Journey Together. It showcases the key moments of his presidency and also has pictures of President Trump with Prime Minister Modi. Then, of course, the Prime Minister had also met Elon Musk and his family as well. He tweeted about this. In fact, Elon Musk, and this is a very interesting gift that you can see on your screens, and this is the gift. He gifted him a SpaceX style to Prime Minister Modi. On the other hand, you have the Prime Minister gifting 3 books to the children of Elon Musk. The Crescent Moon book, Panchatantra, is also one of the things which has been gifted by the Prime Minister to the children of Elon Musk. That, of course, is the photograph that we are getting for you. Well, in fact, this more or less indicates the deepening ties between the two, not just the Prime Minister and President, but the two regimes.